I'm Koshal Patel.
And I'm Mike Dinow. We are following that developing story out of our nation's capital, where a man was shot after drawing a weapon on police officers on Capitol Hill. Well, just days after President Obama's visit to Cuba, the country's former dictator, he is speaking out, denouncing the president. Fidel Castro published a letter on Cuba's state-controlled media where he brought up America's past efforts to overthrow the Cuban government. Castro stayed quiet during the president's historic visit to the isolated nation, but has since broken his silence, saying, quote, "We don't need the empire to give us anything." Meantime, Havana residents are responding to the 1,500-word letter. Well, Bernie Sanders and his supporters are celebrating after a trio of wins on Saturday, but the math toward the Democratic nomination is still ongoing in the quest for delegates. More than 1,000 suspected gang members are in custody following an extensive 5-week raid. Now, immigration authorities and local law enforcement arrested individuals associated with transnational criminal activity like human trafficking, murder, and drug trafficking. Officials say 132 individuals were arrested for immigration violations. The majority of the gangs targeted were MS-13, Sureños, Norteños, Bloods, and several prison-based gangs. During this operation, authorities also seized 150 firearms, 20 kilos of narcotics, and $70,000 in currency. All right, Syrian government forces celebrate the recapture of the ancient city of Palmyra from ISIS. Well, the FBI is claiming it has successfully broken into that iPhone of one of the San Bernardino shooters without the help of Apple. The federal government made this known in a filing to a California court, which has been overseeing the case between the two parties. Now, the breakthrough puts an end to that legal dispute. Apple, which was fighting a court order to essentially hack the phone, has yet to publicly comment. No word on if the FBI plans on releasing the contents of that phone to the public. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan will not have a private meeting with President Obama when he comes to Washington for the upcoming nuclear security summit. Obama has turned down the leader's offer to meet at the inauguration of a mosque in Maryland. The Turkish American Culture and Civilization Center was built with Turkish funding. Some speculate the move reflects a more strained relationship. However, the White House says the decision should not be seen as a snub. The Nuclear Security Summit kicks off on Thursday, where Obama will talk about ensuring nuclear materials don't fall into the wrong hands. Straight ahead on One America News, residents, they are on edge in southeastern Ohio, where a convicted murderer has escaped and he is on the loose. Now authorities say he could be traveling with 2 women. We have the latest on this search.
Made a deal to acquire the Japanese screen maker Sharp.
Eve Johnson explains why this takeover means more leverage for Apple against its main competitor, Samsung.
Are only beginning to emerge.
I've tried it, Mike, and it's very therapeutic, and you just kind of get lost in doing it. When we were younger, you know, when we used to color, you just kind of forget about time and you just keep doing it.
I never really was for the coloring books, but what I did like to do as a kid, and I don't know if this rings a bell, do you ever do the Etch-a-Sketch?
Yeah.
Do you remember the Etch-a-Sketch?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun,
Go left,
too.
go right, go left, go right.
Let's all just be kids
Bright,
again,
right?
right?
Light Bright?
Oh, that was so much fun.
Go ahead, guys. Keep it going in my ear. Any other games out there?
I know. Would you give up the golf?
Operate. Now we're just chanting out random games.
Connect 4 is one of my favorites, too. I was just going to ask you, would you try the coloring books and give up a day of golf instead of, because I know that's therapeutic for you.
How about I play 9 holes
that's
instead
good.
of 18?
And then go color?
But don't tell me I can't color outside the lines, because I don't like the color police coming in. Not outside the lines.
I think we're adults now, so there are no rules for us.
All right. One rule we have is that we are all out of time for this hour of One American News. But for more about our network, go to oann.com.
That's right, Susie. I'm on the 134 West. Still remains closed. Take a look up there. That's the 5 South interchange. That's closed as well. Quite a headache for residents in this area. Take a look at these DWP workers right here, several feet below the ground. Susanna says it was right here at Spring and 3rd. She stopped at a red light and had words with the people in the white Lexus. She says just moments later, that car ran into the back of her bike. Witnesses tell me that the 79-year-old woman was attempting to cross Glen Oaks right behind me when she was first hit by a car going southbound and then hit by another car going to the north. So we come to this donut shop this morning because they sold one of the winning tickets here. About a half hour ago, I'm sitting here, and this gentleman to my left, Lazaro Ramos, comes up real nonchalantly and says, "Excuse me, can you look at my tickets?" I look at his tickets. You can see it right there. 2, 4, 23, 3846. I tell them you're the winner of $228,000.
My trailer flipped over and caught fire instantly.
Thousands of gallons of fuel from Bob Maroney's tanker burst into flames on the 134 West directly under the 5 freeway interchange around 11 Saturday night. The CHP says 25-year-old Hakop Maghakian of Glendale crashed his Honda Accord into the back of the big rig, flipping the tanker. Maghakian was arrested on suspicion of DUI.
The transition from the westbound 134 to the southbound 5, which took direct flame impingement.
The CHP immediately shut down the 134 in both directions, as well as the transitions to and from the 5 freeway. Firefighters were able to knock the fire out in just over an hour.
Our big concerns at this point in time is the stability of the overpass.
The 134 West and East, as well as the interchanges, remained closed throughout the night while crews cleaned and assessed the damage. The morning light brought good news as crews opened the 134 East around 7 a.m., followed by the 5 freeway interchanges to the 134. The 134 transition to the I-5 North was finally opened at 10, a one-lane detour there so vehicles could get back on the 134 West. But as for the 134 West and the 5 South interchange,
we also need to get engineers up on the bridge to do what we call coring samples. They're actually going to drill out some of the concrete, look at the structural integrity, and see whether this flame that licked up on the underside of the bridge did in fact do any damage or not.
and Caltrans officials say they do believe that these samples will turn out to be okay. And the 134 West and the 5 South interchange will be open in the next couple hours. However, I should point out, they say the third lane here will be closed for the next couple days because the damage is just too severe. Reporting live from the 134 West and the 5, Mike Dinow, CBS 2 News.
As we were going that way, she was going this way.
Laura Acosta says she saw Virginia Ramirez moments before the 79-year-old woman was killed. Ramirez had just left her Pacoima Independent Living Home at approximately 6:30 Saturday morning when she was struck and killed by 2 separate cars while trying to cross Glen Oaks Boulevard.
When we walked back, we saw the fire engines, but I never thought it would be her.
Police say Ramirez was crossing Glen Oaks in an unmarked crosswalk just down the alley from where she lives when the first car hit her going southbound. Witnesses say that driver got out of the car, took a quick look at Ramirez, and then got back in the car and drove off. Police say just seconds later, a second car traveling northbound struck Ramirez and never stopped to help.
We will all miss her, and we need to catch the perpetrators that did this to her.
The first vehicle is described as a bright red pickup truck, possibly a Nissan Frontier with a male driver. The second car is described as a white Chevrolet Monte Carlo with a female driver. Friends of Ramirez say she loved to grow fruits and vegetables in the home's garden, and she woke early every day and walked across Glen Oaks to catch the 2:33 bus on Van Nuys so she could make the 7 a.m. Mass at Mary Immaculate Church about 2 miles away.
She's a beautiful lady, wonderful lady. I talk in with her always.
And anyone with information is urged to call police. We are live in Pacoima. Mike Dinow, CBS 2 News.
I've got 6 fractured ribs, 3 in the front, the other 3 are toward the back.
Susanna Schick is recovering at USC Medical Center with broken ribs, a fractured pelvis, a broken collarbone, and lacerations all over her body and face.
This car, came out of a driveway on the left side of the road.
Susanna says she was riding her bicycle south down Spring Street around 11 Friday night when a white Lexus swerved in front of her, almost hitting her. Susanna says both she and the people in the car continued down Spring Street, yelling at each other about the previous incident.
Felt like maybe he was chasing me. I just felt like, we had a disagreement.
Susanna says it was right here at Spring and 3rd she stopped at a red light and had words with the people in the white Lexus. She says just moments later, that car ran into the back of her bike.
The next thing I remember after the wobblies is a paramedic's boots around me.
Susanna describes the vehicle that hit her and took off as a newer white Lexus with tinted windows. She says both the man and woman in the car were dressed nicely and about 30 to 40 years old.
Saw Friday night, there's like plenty of people could have seen this happen.
Susanna's family's in the process of filing a police report with the LAPD. If you have any information on the driver of that white Lexus, you are urged to call police. From LA County USC Medical Center, Mike Dinow, KCAL 9 News.